You believe you are free. You wake up, make choices, set goals, and think your thoughts belong to you. But what if most of what you do, what you feel, desire, even believe isn't truly yours? What if your mind is not the master of your life, but the stage on which invisible forces play their eternal drama? Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And fate, that mysterious word we use when we don't understand, might just be another name for our own forgotten depths. Every day, unseen energies move within and around you. You think you are deciding, but you are being moved. Moved by memory, by archetype, by the expectations of others, by wounds inherited from generations you never met. This is not a conspiracy of the world, it's a conspiracy of the psyche. And understanding this truth is the beginning of freedom. Because you cannot rule what you refuse to see. Today we will explore the 5 invisible psychological forces that control your life forces Jung and other thinkers saw as the hidden architecture of human behavior. You will recognize them in others. But if you're honest, you'll see them in yourself. Prepare to descend not into darkness, but into the deeper light that only shadow can reveal. The shadow of the forgotten self. There is a version of you that you refuse to meet. It carries all the emotions you've suppressed, the envy, the anger, the fear, the forbidden desire. You keep it hidden behind the mask of who you think you should be. Jung called this the shadow. Not evil, not demonic, simply the repressed half of what it means to be whole. Most people run from their shadow. They create a persona, a polished image of goodness and strength, and pretend that's all they are. But the more you deny the shadow, the more it leaks into your life disguised as destiny. The friend who criticizes everyone's arrogance secretly hides his own hunger for power. The partner who fears betrayal becomes controlling, creating the very distance they dread. The one who preaches moral purity is haunted by the desires they condemn. The shadow does not vanish through denial. It integrates only when faced, and if you don't face it, you will project it onto others. That's why we demonize people. We don't see them. We see what we cannot accept in ourselves. You hate the liar because you lie. You despise the coward because somewhere within you fled. Your greatest act of courage is not conquering the world, it's meeting the stranger within. Because the monster you fear in others is just your reflection, waiting to be redeemed. The mask that consumes you. If the shadow is what you hide, the persona is what you show. It's the version of yourself you wear for survival, polite, successful, agreeable, charming. The face that fits into society's expectations. The mask that says, "I'm fine," when your soul is burning inside. There's nothing wrong with masks, we need them. Without them, we couldn't function in social life. But when you start believing your mask is your face, you lose yourself. The persona begins as a role, but if played too long, it becomes a prison. You forget how to feel without performing. You start speaking in pre-approved sentences. And little by little, you become hollow, a collection of other people's expectations. Jung warned that the man who identifies too much with his persona becomes spiritually sterile. He may look successful, loved, respected, but he has no soul left to live for himself. Have you ever wondered why people with perfect lives suddenly collapse, abandon everything, or confess to feeling empty despite having it all? That is the cost of living too long behind a mask. The moment you dare to drop it, something terrifying happens, but also liberating. You remember what it means to be real. The energy of the unhealed wound. Every human being carries a sacred wound, the emotional cut that shaped your sense of self. Maybe it was neglect, rejection, a betrayal that made you doubt your worth. Whatever it was, it became the blueprint of your relationships and the rhythm of your fears. We think time heals, but wounds that are denied do not heal, they govern. Unhealed wounds create patterns. The person abandoned becomes the one who clings. The one criticized becomes obsessed with perfection. The one unseen spends their life performing to be noticed. Jung said the wound is the place where light enters, but that only happens when we stop running from it. Modern philosophy and psychology agree. To be whole is not to be unbroken, but to be aware of what broke you. Your pain isn't your enemy. It's the language through which your soul asks to be understood. The question is not, why did this happen to me? The question is, what part of me is asking to be reborn through this pain? Because behind every wound lies the seed of transformation if you have the courage to face it. The archetype of the eternal pattern. Imagine that your personal story, your fears, loves, and dreams is part of a larger, ancient script. That within you live timeless characters. The hero, the mother, the sage, the rebel, the trickster. Jung called these archetypes primordial patterns of the human psyche. They are not just myths, they are psychological blueprints that shape your behavior. When you fall in love, you awaken the archetype of the lover. When you seek truth, the seeker moves through you. When you face chaos, the hero takes the lead. But here's the paradox. When you identify too much with one archetype, it begins to consume you. The perpetual savior forgets to save himself. The thinker becomes trapped in thought. The rebel destroys without creating. You are not meant to become one archetype, you are meant to balance them all. To live as the whole psyche, not one of its masks. To Jung, individuation. The goal of human development is the marriage of opposites within the self. It is becoming both hero and healer, both light and shadow, both thinker and lover. You are not a single note, you are the entire symphony. And the moment you remember that, your life stops repeating and begins evolving. The possession of collective thought. You think your ideas are yours, but most of them were born long before you. The collective unconscious doesn't just shape dreams, it shapes culture, morality, politics, even your identity. And in the modern world, this collective psyche has found a new temple: social media. Every day, millions of minds fuse into one, reacting, judging, loving, hating all at once. The individual dissolves into the crowd, and the crowd begins to think for you. Nietzsche warned of this when he spoke of the herd mind. Kierkegaard called it the crowd, which is untruth. When you stop thinking for yourself, you are possessed not by demons, but by ideas. You repeat slogans instead of beliefs, emotions instead of thoughts. And in doing so, you lose the most sacred human right, the right to inner freedom. Philosophy begins when you step out of the crowd, when you dare to hold a thought long enough to see if it's truly yours. And Jung's psychology exists for that same reason, to return the individual to themselves, to remind you that salvation does not come from the group, but from the integration of the self. Becoming the whole you have walked through shadow, mask, wound, archetype, and the collective mind. These are not enemies to destroy, they are forces to integrate, because consciousness is not purity, it's complexity embraced. The person who owns their darkness is no longer ruled by it. The person who faces their wound transforms pain into wisdom. The one who removes their mask remembers who they were before the world told them who to be. And that is freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to be what you are, fully, consciously, courageously. Jung wrote, "Privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That is not poetry, it is a psychological truth. And it begins the moment you stop chasing the light and start listening to the dark. Because sometimes the most enlightened souls are simply those who dare to look where others refuse to see. If this journey resonated with you, if it made you question, reflect, or breathe a little deeper, remember to subscribe for more philosophical explorations of the human psyche. not to be entertained, but to awaken, because awakening is the slow remembering of what you have always been,